grab the northern lights. Baby, you just kick your feet up while I kick back. I roll one with you by my side.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Bold, Black, and Addicted to Bravo, because I am bold, black, and addicted to Bravo. My name is Nyemade, or That African Butterfly on social media, and I'm here joined by some great guests, a familiar face and a new face. I always love when we have new guests. We're going to discuss things Bravo. But before we get started, I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves. Karla, if you'd like to go first.
Sure. Hi, guys. My name is Karla. I'm an avid Bravo watcher. I think I've been a Bravo watcher since Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Yes, Kelsey Grammer. That was my first Real Housewives. Yes, that was always a good one. That was my first Bravo show, and I've been addicted ever since. So I appreciate the invite. Thank you so much, and the opportunity to share my opinion. I am at Carbar on all social media.
Awesome, thank you.
Hi, I am Shataiya. I am also an avid Bravo watcher. I've been watching since Bobby and Whitney being Bobby Brown and Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Yes.
And I am Sincerely Shataiya on Instagram and Regular Black on Twitter. And thank you for inviting me. I love being here with you. And these topics are always really good.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So today's episode is called Accountability. Who said that? Because it feels like that is, first of all, I have to say personally, accountability is a pet peeve of mine, and people who don't take accountability for stuff, it's like the quickest way to get me riled up. But it seems like there's a lot of people on Bravo who don't like to take accountability. It seems like they are good with their favorite phrases. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I just forgot. So let's start there. Like, is I forgot an acceptable excuse for not taking accountability for your words or your action?
No, 100% no, not at all. I think there's a, like, you always hear it's a fine line between reasons and excuses. So yes, you can say I forgot while still taking accountability. Like I forgot can't be a hard stop. Like it can't be a period after that, especially when everything is recorded. You know what I mean? And like there's post and you know what I mean? And you are a star of a show. So, I mean, you can say it. Of course, I totally forgot about that. But then you have to, account and atone in most cases, especially on a Real Housewives series, and atone for your actions. You know what I mean? So you can't just be like, oh, I forgot, and just walk away from the camera. That's not how that works. Not at all.
What about times where they're like adamant? So, for example, there was recently, and I'm almost a little bit mad at the producers for getting involved in this, because I would have liked to see how it played out without them. But in Potomac, we had Candace tell Ashley. So Candace and Ashley were talking, and Ashley was asking her why Charisse and Karen had a falling out. And Candace was telling Ashley that it's because Charisse said Karen used to be like out on the town or with another man or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to a dinner later, Ashley completely misrepresents the conversation and says, Candace told me that you'd like to be, that you were out of the town and blah, blah, blah. And Candace was like, I absolutely did not say that, because in her mind, she didn't, because that's not the context of how it happened. So she was very adamant that she did not say it and would not take accountability. Later, she's like, oh, I guess I did say it because a producer reminded her she said it. And I'm like, oh, I wish you had it, because I would have liked to see how that had played out, because truly in her mind, she didn't think she said it because she didn't say it in that way. Like, so in that case, is it a lack of accountability, or is it more, because I feel like in that situation, it's more manipulation on the side of the person who is running to tell the story.
Oh, that's That's
Ashley's MO. So yeah, that is a good look at it, because that's what she does all the time. That was hard for me to watch. I
was yelling at my TV. I'm like, that's not how she said it. And I don't even like defending Candace that much, but like Ashley doing it like blatantly like that made me so angry.
Yeah. So why was it hard for you to watch? Like, why? What about it made it so difficult to watch? Because I'm always here for the drama. Like, I'm like, oh, it's about to get good. Like, I said that. So what made for me, it was just like I didn't see it coming. You know what I mean? Like before it happened, but when it happened, I was like, ooh, girl. Like I couldn't. I was like, oh, this, it's about to get. It's happening. So what made it hard for you guys to watch that?
I think I think it was Candace saying no, I know the context in which she said it, right? So I know that in her mind, no, I didn't say it. But it's like, girl, they're going to get you for this. You're saying no. They're going to come for you for everything else. This is like the worst thing you can do is say that you didn't. But she really, she didn't.
She was adamant. She stood her ground, right? She planted that flag and was like, I did not say this. And the whole time I'm like, are they going to flash back? Because I remember what she said. Does she remember what she said? Like, it's just me. It's just me. Just me.
No, I was the same way because I remember what she said, but I remember how she said it. And I think that, I mean, it's one of the things I love about Housewives and what's led me to do this series is I really just love dissecting like human interactions like that. Because you don't really get to in real life. Like you don't get to be like, roll that footage and then like dissect how the scene happened in your life. But you can do it with Housewives and it's always like just very interesting.
Yes, very interesting. Flashbacks are great.
Like you mentioned, by the way, completely sidetracked. Do either of you watch Black Mirror?
I watched the first season.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's this one season where everyone is implanted with a thing that does let you stop and rewatch scenes. Like, so you can like, as you're watching, you can stop and rewatch moments of your life. So like, if you're having an argument, they're like, oh, I didn't say it that way. You can literally like pull up the memory and make them rewatch it. It was wild. Good episode.
Awesome.
Check that out. But anyway, so going back on Beverly Hills, there was and this really frustrated me. For a while, Brandy and Kim were friends. Do you remember they were friends? And so Brandy would like bring up things in arguments with Kyle because she wasn't friends with Kyle that clearly Kim told her. Like clearly Kim had to have told her because it'd be stuff about like their childhood or like their Palm Beach stuff. But Kim would never take responsibility for literally like puppet mastering Brandy. Like, is that an area where the accountability of that's like, you know, bringing those arguments forth? Is it on Kim for telling Brandy and riling her up, knowing Brandy has a big mouth? Or is it still solely on Brandy for opening her mouth when her friend told her something?
On Kim.
Oh, you think it's on Kim?
Yeah. I think when when you know how someone is, when you see a pattern in the way someone is, it is your duty to figure out how you're going to move with that person, especially if you know that person doesn't like your sibling. You're using them as artillery. That's what you're doing. Even if, like, I'm sure Kim has other friends that she can confide in that knows the relationship between she and Kyle, that, you know, she can just blow off some steam and call them and tell them how she feels. You ain't got to tell Brandy. You're doing it to hurt Kyle because you know she's going to bring it up. I don't understand the friendship between those two when Kyle and Kim were bullying Brandy the first season she came on. I find it to be so, but okay.
Like the reason why Kyle and Kim don't get along is because Brandy came in saying shit about Kim, and then Kyle and Kim were defending Kim, and then it became this whole big thing. But it's like then they decided to forgive each other. It was wild.
Yeah, I thought I would think it would be on Brandy for running her mouth. You know what I mean? But that I think I'm thinking about it with the black girl filter. You know what I mean? So if I confide in you, and but you know we all because we talk.
But I don't think you would confide in somebody that runs their mouth.
I probably have, you know what I'm saying, someplace in my past, but I know with that person, I'm like, so don't say anything, or this stays between me and you. That was never said, because of course it's, you know, it's the Real House, because it's Andy Cohen, you know, because it's Andy Cohen, so it's never that. But, you know, I was thinking about it with the black girl filter. If I confide in you and then you choose to run your mouth, it's on you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I because I'm an accountable person, I would take responsibility, because yes, I started this and I told her, but you and I had a trust agreement. And you were supposed to shut the hell up and let me vent because you were acting as a friend in that capacity. So when you run your mouth, that's on you. So you know, she's running her mouth. If she'd have got popped in the mouth, would I have been blamed for that? Because somebody popped you in the mouth because you're running your mouth?
No.
Right.
No, but I feel like when it comes to,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I feel like when it comes to friends, that trusting is already there. Like, you don't have to tell me that it stays between us. I already know because you're my friend.
You're absolutely right.
I just don't understand the confiding in Brandy, but go ahead.
Well, no, and I do think that people sometimes purposely weaponize friendships, like you said, to make people be their mouth. So even when we want to talk about like the Black girl thing, well, Nyla's not really Black, but Married to Medicine, you know, she came in as friends with Toya. Her and Toya were good friends. They had a falling out. Now, of all of the women that she could have went to talk to about her falling out with Toya, she had to go to Quad. The one person she knows cannot stand Toya. The one person she knows has beef with Toya. That was very much on purpose. That was very much like a calculated role, knowing that whatever she ran and told Quad would give more ammunition to fire back at Toya. And I think that that's kind of like what Brandy and like the Brandy and Kim thing too. Like she did it on purpose.
I always think when it comes to things like that, I think people seek out people who share their opinion so they can just be miserable together. You know what I mean? So in Married to Medicine, it's like, I hate this person now. So instead of talking to anyone else who will probably give me a different perspective, you know what I mean? Whether they like that woman or not, somebody might be like, well, you could look at it this way, you know what I mean? Or try to give you some type of insight. Instead of doing that, you're going to go to the person that hates her. And of course, it's the Andy Cohen filter, because you got eyes on screens and you need the views. But instead of going to someone who could give you maybe better advice and not petty advice, you go to the one person that feels the same way you do, so you can feel validated. You know what I mean? For the way you feel about that person. But you know, it's all TV, it's all, you know, produced, and it's in the genius of Andy Cohen. But I
no, but we love it because it makes us feel like it's real. Because it is. At the end of the day, though, TV, Hollywood, all of that is just a microcosm for the real world. So like everything we're looking at, we see it around us. In the real
it's
world.
happened.
It's happened to us, or it's happened to people we know it. So even if it's on TV, it goes down in real life quite frequently, unfortunately. And I think that you're right too. Because I know, like with my friends, God bless them, I love them all. But I also know that they have categories. They just do. Like, I know my friends that I call when I want to go out, but I'm not going to have a serious conversation with you. I know my friends who like are great at talking about themselves, but I know that when I enter that arena, I won't be talking about myself. And I also know my friends who like, I'm that role in another friendship where they're good at listening to me because they don't want to share, but they'll let me share everything off of, you know, what I need to get off my chest. And I also know my friends who are yes men, who I know if I just want someone to agree with me, if I just want someone to tell me that like, whatever even if I know it's kind of wrong, that they'll find a way to be like, it's not your fault, girl. I know who to go to. But then I also know my friends that no matter what will tell me the truth, whether I want to hear it, don't want to hear it, agree, don't want to agree. And when I need that type of advice, I know those people to go to. So I think that you're right as well. Like people know, like if they're in a certain mode and they don't want to hear it, they know who to go to.
They know exactly who to go to.
Yeah.
Whether a producer put it in their ear or not, they know exactly who they need to talk to. And it's like, I'm going to go to that person because my feelings are so overwhelming. I need somebody to validate these. And they just like, they head straight there.
You know, a word that's been used a lot recently, which drives me crazy because it's a real word and it's a real thing, which is gaslighting. And we've seen it on the shows, but now everyone's learned the word narcissist and gaslighting. So everything's gaslighting, everything's narcissism. And it's not true, people. Stop using it.
But it's not always the case. You know what I mean?
Right. But there are times where we do actually see that. And that, when I see it in action, like really just riles me up, because there is something about trying to tell somebody that what they know is true in that moment is not true because you don't want to be held accountable for it, for what you're saying. So like, I'll give an example with like New York, right? So Bethany and Ramona were having, I don't know, this one of their Bethany Ramona times, right? Like where they're kind of bickering. And then so Ramona was like, so Bethany, I heard you made a tape. You know, how will your daughter feel about that when she sees it? Like, is that like, how's that going to impact her? And then Bethany was like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, because why are you bringing her daughter into it? Like, what the, like, are you kidding me? And then Ramona was like, I would never, of course I wasn't trying to. Yes, you were. That was me screaming at the TV. Yes, you were. Like, I just hate when people do stuff like that. Like, just be honest about what you're trying to do, especially when you get called out about it. But they won't, and it really, I see red. I see red. Like that is true gaslighting, and we see it so much on Housewives. I feel when they just don't want. And Karla, you and I were talking earlier about like people who have the ability to just lie, just bold-faced lie.
For no reason.
But yeah, with that gaslighting.
Yep.
Yes.
That is a liar. I love it. I love when she lies because they always have footage that show that she's lying.
And she stands hard on it. Like she's like, I never did it. And they'll run the playback and she's like, still never did it. She's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
When they call her hot mic in French, talking about don't tell anybody you were here last. Like, come on, Luann.
That was the best one. That was the best.
We have translators, girl.
Yeah. And at least with her, I think we give her more leeway because hers are usually like funny things and like they're like little, and we were saying too earlier that like with lies, lying is like such a defense mechanism that we all do it. Like even those of us who like, I'm very anti-liars, but like I'll tell a little white lie about like if I'm running on late or blah 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 or why I can't go, because we all do it. It's human nature. And I think because Luann's lies are usually in that category, we're all like, all right, Luann, you're just trying to protect your reputation.
You're so crazy, girl.
So all right, girl.
But she
but
got
then,
a
like
pattern.
when we see it on like an annoying level, or when someone's using it to like gaslight, like Ramona with Bethany in that situation, I think it's more frustrating.
I agree with that.
100%. Yeah, I'm with.
What's her name's a liar too? Vicky.
Jen Shaw.
Big one.
Jen Shaw. Vicky's a liar.
Like when we talk about though, like people who are able to just lie to people's faces, it's like Jen Shaw is almost amazing to me because it's like even just the shoes on the boat thing. We all saw you throw the shoes on the boat.
Threw that shoe, girl.
They lie and say like you didn't.
That pissed me off.
She stood hard. She stood hard on it. She stood her ground.
Hard on it that it makes me wonder if she believes the lie. Like that's how hard she stands on it. I truly question if she is that out of touch with reality and she believes her lies, or if she's just that good of a liar. I can't tell.
You can't have one without the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They go hand in hand. You can't be a good liar and not believe what you're saying, because if you don't believe it, you're not selling it. And she like the shoes on the boat thing. I was like, are we still talking about this? Because I felt like, it's been seen, we saw it, we know what happened. She was firm on that. She's to the point where I think she believed it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about something else that my best friend and I always discuss when it comes to Salt Lake City. The environment that Jen is in allows her to constantly lie and get away with it. All of these white women. Nobody really.
No one holds her accountable.
She would not pull that in Potomac, and she would pull it in Atlanta.
The minute they try to, she pulls the race card. And I hate when people do that because there are actual racial issues in this world. There's actual discrimination. And I hate when people do bad things. And then when they get called out on it, go, you're just calling me out because I'm Black. Like you're just saying I have an attitude because I'm Black. No, girl, we're saying attitude because you're screaming like a banshee everywhere you go.
And you're a liar.
People, it's not because you're Black. It's because of your behavior and because you're a liar. But instead, she like
Jen has gotten away with a lot. Yeah, she's very physically like she can't keep her hands to herself. She's always throwing something. I remember someone tried to say, "Oh, well, they do that on Jersey," but it's like it's kind of different on Jersey than Jen. It's like they do it to each other, right? It's a lot of back and forth.
It's not an attack.
Right. It's always Jen doing something to somebody else. Like that's reprehensible. Like they need to bring that up. I
think I think she's really like this. Number one, Jen, but like she's also like filling the stereotype. Kind of like you said, she can't keep her hands to herself. She's always arguing. She's always throwing things. It's like, girl, you're an adult. Like there's other ways for you to communicate. You don't have to hit anybody. You don't. Throwing things. I understand, but not at people.
Right.
You don't make enough money to be throwing things at. You know what I mean? Like you gotta woosah yourself back down and be like, I'm an adult. This could carry a case. Like you gotta think about this could carry a case. I could be, you know what I mean? I could turn out like Jen, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. But she doesn't. It seems like she just reacts. And like you said, no one holds her accountable because they think, especially in you, they think that this is how Black women are. You know what I mean? Or Black women for Jen. Like this is how Black women are.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so she's just acting how she is. So they pretty much calling her a monkey. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like, this is how she acts. So we're just gonna sit back and let that happen. But you're right, she definitely would not try that in Atlanta. Because she'd be out Blacked in Atlanta.
Right.
Period. She'd be out Blacked in
Atlanta.
Wait a
minute, who you don't throw things over here. You throw something.
Nene be like, you better calm down. Like,
I would love to see her with.
We don't do that here.
I would love to see her with women on her level who would stand back up to her and not like get upset and cry.
There you go.
And listen, I'm a crier, so I get it. But it's usually because I'm so angry and I'm trying not to kill you. That's why I'm crying. It's not because I'm sad.
Trying not to kill you.
It's because I'm trying to restrain myself. But,
That's the yeah, I get that.
but even in that same trip, we mentioned gaslighting, the whole conversation with the wine glass, like that made me so upset. Like, you clearly were mad at her when you threw the water on her. You clearly were not trying to have fun and raise the fun level. So for you to sprout that bullshit is ridiculous. But then for Heather and Meredith to co-sign it,
everybody
blows my mind. Even Heather, I can be like, well, she's like that sometimes. But Meredith co-signing that, I was like, what planet are we on right now where Meredith is co-signing? Like, I would expect Meredith to at least be like, no, that's ridiculous.
Messy.
Salt Lake City is to me, you don't know what's gonna happen. It's so unpredictable when it comes to alliances and things like that. Like with the other shows, you kind of know, okay, well, this person did this, so she's probably gonna take up for her. But these people, I just don't know. It's so crazy. It's so up and down.
Well, I think part of it is it's because it's half authentic, half self-produced. And so at any given time, we're not getting real full versions of stuff because they're all thinking how will this play on camera? How will the fans think? They're very much, and that's part of the problem with housewives. That's why you kind of need to get out of touch housewives who don't know how to play into that stuff. I always give the example of a Sutton, because Sutton says the most ridiculous things, bless her heart. But it's because she's not that aware of the TV presence and how stuff is going to come out. But you need people like that. And I think Salt Lake City needs more of that, because I think everyone is very, honestly though, I do think Lisa gives that. Because I think some of the stuff that she says, even though we love it, I think if she were trying to self-produce herself, she wouldn't say it. Because even though because I'm a Lisa fan, I'll admit it. But I'll hear her say things and be like, Lisa, they're gonna get you for that. Why
you don't
say
care.
that?
You don't care,
girl.
She don't care. Never care. Never.
She doesn't care, and I love that. I love that for her.
I think the season with the least amount of accountability and the high potential for liars, not the season, but the franchise, would have to be Atlanta. We can start with Sheree.
You think Atlanta lies the most?
We can. I mean, and then Nene got to be on her second or third nose at this point. Kim was with old boy. Well, you know what I mean? She was sleeping with married men. I mean, we can.
Well, so here's a question though, when we talk about liars and when we talk about reality TV. And I recently did an episode called "Mention It All or Not at All," where we talked about how much do you owe the audience when you are on reality television. So check that out if you haven't. But in context to this, it's well, is it a lie if you're trying to keep something private that you don't want on camera?
I don't think anybody in the Atlanta franchise was trying to keep anything personal. I think they saw this as an opportunity. And as we can see, a lot of people have built a lot off of this franchise. Nene especially. I mean, I feel Nene's experienced a lot of loss. You know what I mean? I feel very bad for Nene, but look at where she was and look at where she is now.
Oh yeah.
The same with I mean, we can even take it back to Kim and Candy and Tardy for the Party. That was a mess.
That was a mess.
That was a mess. And I think, I think somebody thought they were friends and just assumed they was going to do the right thing and got not scammed, but she got shaded.
Yeah, she did.
She got shaded. Kim made a lot of money off that song and got her own Bravo franchise off of that song because she was so popular. And not that Candy hurting, I'm not saying that at all, but she deserved to be recognized for what she did for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and it's just a matter of principle. And I think that up front, she was just doing a favor for a friend.
Again,
and I don't think she thought it would blow up as much as it did. That's why she didn't put it in contracts and things like that. So
she didn't even trademark the phrase because Kim's Bravo show was tardy for everything. Tardy for the wedding.
Well, I mean, Kim did find the song. It was a country song, remember? Kim found the song and then Candy made it a fun song. It was some random country song.
I remember she and Nene in the car listening to it.
It and mocking it.
And mocking it. Yep.
But I think once it blew up, I feel like you owe the person who helped it blow up.
She ain't even blinked twice.
Amazing to me. Yeah. And I feel like I don't think I'm naive until I watch things like these. And I'm so shocked by the behavior of people that it makes me realize how naive I am to these things. Because I'm just like, well, why wouldn't you? You wouldn't have a dime if it wasn't for her. So why wouldn't you give her a decent percentage of it? Because you would have nothing if she wouldn't have given you.
She didn't give her anything.
But people don't think like that. People do not think like that.
But I'm saying, she, like I said, she didn't trademark the phrase. She ain't getting no like she and Kim wouldn't have the life she has now if it wasn't for Candy and that song. She'd have just still been sleeping with old boy. She'd probably still be in Atlanta row home. You know, she's still, but she is miles away from where she
turned around and stole her baby's name. Remember, Candy wanted to name her baby Cash.
Yeah.
And now look.
For shame.
Now
karma. I'm a big believer in karma, so it comes around. I do have to say that one of my favorite Atlanta lies was Phaedra and that baby. And and it only cracked me up because it was like, come on, y'all. You can tell she's lying for her mom. She doesn't want her mom to know that she had the baby or, conceived the baby before the wedding. But it's like they were all pressing her on it. And she would not tell the truth. She was just like, nope, I'm going to stick to it. But I mean, that's the one thing that I've learned, though, from watching reality shows and these things is like, if you just stick to your lie, like, unless someone can literally prove that you're wrong.
Yeah.
You just got to stay firm to it. Don't back down.
Don't back down.
That's what the men do with the cheating until they are literally
nothing at all.
Until there's little proof, like literally proof that they have cheated.
Run it back.
They did not do it.
Run it back. My favorite Atlanta lie was Chateau Sheree. By far.
Yeah.
By far. That year that came out, Sheree she released She by Sheree, and she very loose quotes. She presented at Fashion Week that year.
Yeah. She by Sheree.
That show was terrible. I've never seen. I mean, I live in New Jersey, so I'm right near. I'm like an hour and some change from New York, and me and my sister went to Fashion Week that year, and oh, girl, it was hard to watch. It was hard to be a part of. It was hard to watch, and it's just like Sheree is another one. Maybe she's not an OG, but she's one like she stands on it, and she's 10 toes down.
Yeah,
white 10, like cocaine toes, 10 toes down. She is like, this is what I'm doing, and I think she believes if she says it enough, it'll manifest, and it's blown up in her face twice so far. Chateau Sheree and She by Sheree. Like She by Sheree was terrible. It was was
that's
hard.
The thing is, I just don't understand. It goes back to like, why lie? Especially on these shows, it's gonna come back.
It's coming back.
There's footage. There's people, like, it's going, like, don't even bother lying. Especially in this day and age, everybody is like an internet sleuth. They will find
everybody's fact checking you,
and they will check your business, and they will tell everybody your business. So you're better off just being honest. And I think, like, with Sheree and the She by Sheree, to be honest, I don't think Sheree wants to be a businesswoman. And, like, I don't think you have to be, but I don't know why she won't just be honest about that. Because let's be honest, with the connections that she has and the money that she has, she could have put together that fashion line so long ago. At this point, I think she's just here's what I think, my humble opinion. I think that when she was leaving her athlete husband, she was getting on the show, and the idea of doing the fashion line sounded great as another source of income. So she was like, let's do it. But then she started getting those Bravo checks and then also her divorce money. And she's like, actually, I don't really need it. And because it wasn't something she was actually truly passionate about, she's like, whatever. She let it go on for 9 years before finally having a fashion show. And at this point, I really think she just did it to shut everybody up. I don't think she really was like passionate about having She by Sheree. She just wants everybody to shut up and stop talking about it.
That show was not passionate. That show was like you said, it was thrown together. You're absolutely right.
I could have made a fashion line, put it together, and had something way quicker than 9 years with Sheree's money. She just doesn't really care.
I have a different theory about Sheree. I don't think Sheree knows what she's doing at all. Not even a little bit. I don't really even think she has the resources people think she has. I really don't. I think I think even since the very beginning, I think that
that was a read. That was a read.
I think she was just on a magic carpet ride. Really, I really do. Like, I don't think.
You think that we're getting, you know what? That makes sense, because I just got dragged on Instagram.
Oh.
She don't care. She don't care.
But I just got dragged on Instagram because someone had posted this thing about DJ Sykes. So I watched the show called Love and Marriage Huntsville. I don't know if either of you watch
Yes,
it.
I like Huntsville. Yeah.
Okay. So someone had asked, like, do you think Martell is still in love with Melody? And what do you think that means for Sheree? Because Sheree from Atlanta is now dating Martell from Love and Marriage. And so in the comments, I said that I think that Martell is in love with being the Holt. I think that he loves what Melody brought to the status of the life that he always wanted. I don't think he actually loved Melody.
Right.
And I was like, but I do think that Sheree, I do think him and Sheree have a good chance of working out, because I think Sheree knows what she's getting into and what she signed up for, and that they're going to have that type of relationship. The amount of people who commented, I was with you until you got to Sheree. I was with you for the first part, but Sheree does not know what she's doing. Sheree does not know. Like, they were dragging me on the Sheree part. And I do kind of get what they're saying, especially like the way you said it. I think that maybe we give her too much credit. Because in my mind, she's an astute woman. She knows what she's doing. She knows Martell's a player. She knows Martell is just there for the flame, and that's
that. Yeah,
they're just making a business decision. But then someone's like, "Yeah, that's why she ended up with the prison guy." No, she does not know what she's doing in this area.
By the way, I know that guy. Oh God. Anyway, let me just say this. My friend and I were talking, and we were talking about Sheree, and my friend believed exactly what you believe, and I just said, it was like, think about it though. Let's look at all that Sheree has done since she's been on the show, since we've been introduced to her. She's not as smart as people think she is. She just talks really fast.
Yeah.
She does.
Smart. Yeah, she talks fast, but she's not really that smart. Like the construction on her home and all that stuff. She didn't have a project manager for that. Like you have to, you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, she was doing it. Remember, she was doing
everything. That's not normal for someone who's not in the construction business to be doing everything. She does not have the resources. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you brought up Martell, I think you're spot on about Martell. I don't want to say this, but I think he loved Melody for a little bit, and he loves her, but he was never really in love with her.
That's what I said in my agreed. Yep.
Because if you're in love with somebody, you wouldn't be cheating during the whole marriage, and that's really what he was doing
the whole time.
The whole time cheating on this woman. And soon as she left, Melody went off and did her own thing. She's got she has music, she has skincare line, she has a lot of different stuff.
She's a whole new person.
Went bankrupt. Like Martell is nothing.
You quickly see who is, like, when people get a divorce, you quickly see who was the brains behind that relationship. You quickly see who was carrying the other person along, because one person thrives and the other person is stuck.
And I do think that he misses the fact that you had a team, and all you had to do was not cheat.
Stop thinking with your dick.
And you couldn't do it. And now you're with Sheree from Atlanta. It's just all a big mess.
I feel like if he thinks, especially after us having this conversation and what you said about Sheree, I think if he thinks Sheree is going to be another Melody, he's sadly mistaken. I think she comes across like she should be. She comes across like she would have her stuff together and be a powerhouse, but she's not. Like you just said, she's not the smart powerhouse that we kind of think she is. So I think if he thinks that they're going to get into that, like, I hope he has a good manager, because it's not going to come from her.
Here's the thing. If I thought how people think about Sheree, I would think that Sheree would have been on Nene's level instead of Nene herself.
Boing,
because
bing.
when it first started, it was Sheree, she's fabulous, she's this, she's that. And she really, like, she had the bag, she had the people, she had all the stuff, which was just supposed to be that girl. Nene didn't have that stuff.
None of that.
And maybe that's why she was where she was, and she was very authentic. But it was like Sheree came when she was the it girl.
Yeah.
And I think it was just all a facade. I really do.
Yeah.
Real, yeah, I never thought about it that way. Like, you're right, they were definitely on different levels, and now completely different.
She has as much money as we think she does either. Because here's the thing, and I hate to be this person, where did she get that money for that house?
Well,
and the divorce, I assumed
alimony.
She said she didn't get a lot of money from the divorce.
But what's her version of not a lot of money? Because, you know, some people will say like they get millions and be like, it wasn't that much.
And please, this is Atlanta, so you got to put that film over it too. This is Atlanta, so money.
Yeah, I gotta.
And that house is probably cheaper than it looks because it's Atlanta.
Because it's Atlanta.
Yeah, but she got a $15,000 chandelier.
Donate it.
I don't know.
Right, got donated.
Could be.
Donated.
Very
Yeah,
much. So.
yeah.
Rent a center? I don't know.
That house I always wonder. Now, like I never wonder about Kenya's house because I know that Kenya has a lot going on. But it's like, what else does Sheree have going on in her life that she could keep up these payments on this house and all this stuff? I wonder.
I don't know.
Hopefully, she just has like a smart business manager. Because at this point, though, like if you are not capitalizing on your turn on Housewives, like that's on you.
Like,
it is totally a money-making machine. You don't even have to be that talented to put out something, and you will get money for it just by being a Bravo celebrity. Just put out a book. Who cares? It will become a bestseller.
Podcast.
Put out
before athleisure wear was a thing. She could have been putting the athleisure wear out because her body is amazing.
Yeah, but even now, it doesn't even have to be that good. And didn't her website crash because so many people wanted to buy it? Like, you don't even have to try that hard at this point. Just try a little, and you can capitalize from being a housewife. And we see that. And speaking of liars, I don't know if did either of you watch the recent OC? Because I stayed away from OC for years, and then I just came back this year.
Why did you stay away?
I just I hated Tamara. Though now, since the Ultimate Girls Trip, I like her. I think I'm ready to give her a second chance. But back then, I was very team Gretchen, and Tamara was super mean to Gretchen, and so I didn't enjoy watching it. And then Vicky had gone from being like super fun Vicky to being annoying, and like I'm really not one of those people who can hate watch. Like some people love hate watching, I can't. If something annoys me more than I get pleasure from it, I don't want to watch it. Like,
oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, like I can be irritated with stuff. I can be irritated with stuff. People can upset me. But for me, that's different than like hate watching. Because like, like Salt Lake City, I'll get mad at sometimes, but they were close to hate watching this because that was more boredom watching. But like if it's really something where it just makes me not enjoy it at all, because I like the drama. So it's not like hate watching for me isn't drama and stuff like that. Like I get into that stuff. But when it's like, I can't stand half of you, then I don't want to watch this. It's not pleasant for me.
Really?
You enjoy watching things when you don't like the cast?
Yes. Yes. I hate watch The Shy, and I hate watch And Just Like That.
Okay.
I am vested in Sex and the City. I am very well vested in Sex and the City.
Yes.
So like at this point, I'm like, if I start watching, I'm a traitor to myself. So I can't stop watching. So I watched the first season of And Just Like That. Oh my God. Horrible. Terrible. It's like brown people just coming out of the woodwork. It's just like, oh my God, let's just throw brown people into this. Like, no, slow down.
That's how I feel about Tell Me More, that one on what was Hulu about the college kids.
Oh, tell me lies.
Tell me lies. I can't. I don't care that there's it's horrible because I kind of want to know something about like a cliffhanger, but I don't know that I can make myself sit through another
and wait for the cliffhanger.
I hated
tell me
everybody.
anything because I'm not done.
Okay, well, let me tell you. I'll tell you this. I hated all of them except for like 2 people. I hated all of them, especially the main leads.
It gets better. It does.
I couldn't.
I can't. Oh,
great writing in the sense of like the complexities of the character, if you will, and like the storyline, because there is stuff where I'm like, oh, I want to know this and I want to know this. But overall, they're just obnoxious, terrible people. And I don't like any of them. So it's hard for me to enjoy watching.
That's how I'm feeling right now. And I'm not done. So like you said,
we won't.
This way until the end.
We won't it for you. But on this last season of Orange County, Noella came in. Or Noella. I don't know if she's going to have another season. But she was a major liar. And she like came in gunning for Heather. And you can always tell when people come gunning for someone. I also don't know why they do it. It never ends well. Like when Carlton did it to Kyle in Beverly Hills. Like when they come in predetermined to not like the person, no matter what that person says. And on one level, I do kind of get it because it does get you instant fans. Everyone who hates that person will now be an instant fan of yours. Right. It's kind of like the Kardashian thing. Like you can either go the route of saying you like them or proudly saying you hate them, and you'll get a ton of fans of people who hate them. But I feel like it never really ends well. And with her, Noella, she just would like blatantly lie about stuff. But it's like, sweetie, there's cameras. Like we see you telling these lies, and we're expecting to believe it, and we can't. That's why I said I wish that, when we talk about accountability, I wish we could run it back in real life. But I also, like I said with that Dark Mirror episode, I would drive myself crazy because I would rewatch.
Oh, I would constantly be running.
I already replay stuff in my head. Can you imagine if I could actually pull it up on my TV and rewatch it? I'd be like, do you see that twitch in his eye? Did you see that?
That's what he meant. That's what he meant.
I think that was Noella. She didn't know how to play the game. You got to come in and get allies first before you start gunning for people.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think the Real Housewives, since they're trying to become regulars, you know what I mean? Everyone wants, like you said, that Bravo money is long money. So since they're trying to become regulars, they try to figure out the best way to get popular fast, you know, to gain followers, and you know, so that the producers or Andy, whoever makes the choice, is like, yes, we need her on here because you know, she has this many followers, people want to see her on the screen, blah blah blah. I think, you know, it's all a ploy. It's all a ploy.
I think even when you come in, I think Heather is someone that's hard to gun for like that, and it's part of why I really like Heather, even though people don't like her, because I do think she has very rational thinking, and I think she's kind. And so like the problem is like you would see like Noella trying to badmouth her, meanwhile people are telling Heather like, oh, she said this, and Heather's like, oh, that's upsetting, but she's going through a hard time, so I'm gonna let it go. So it's like, well, how can you like
being kind
ride on her? Like even if you don't like Heather, it's like Heather is still being kind about it the whole time. So it's like it just makes Noella look even worse that she was trying to make Heather look so bad. So it's coming back on her.
I mean, I would be very kind too if I was Heather and had a house like that.
Right.
Nobody could ever make me mad.
Right. I mean, Heather's life
is top tier. Heather's life is all the way up
top tier. She's all the way up here. And here comes little Noelle starting like, you know,
life is falling apart.
You know what I mean? Her life is falling apart. And Heather's like, I know, I'm such a bitch, but you know, I'm happy. So
exactly.
You know what? That's going to be another episode. Because I was going to say, like, is Heather such a bitch? Like, why do we always assume that people are when they are a certain way, especially with women? Like, if they're more direct or if they're not as, like, warm and fuzzy, then they're, you know. But we'll save that conversation.
Yes, please invite me back because I have a lot of opinions on that.
I don't think Heather's a bitch. I think Vicky's a bitch.
Yes, I agree.
I
think Vicky's a bully. She's mean. She's a bully, and she has no self-esteem.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of bummed that she's coming back because, like I said, with the Ultimate Girls Trip, I was like, you know what? I think I'm at a phase in life where I'm gonna like Tamara. So I was like, okay, cool. She's coming back. I'll be like reintroduced to her. But I heard Vicky's coming back too, and I'm like, come on, like just bring Tamara back by herself.
I will only like this upcoming season if Shannon, Tamara, and Heather gang up on Vicky.
That'd be lovely, but I don't think so because it
doesn't happen.
I thought Tamara and Heather were at odds.
I think they're good now.
Okay.
I think they're good now. But my favorite, well, when we get back to the lies, like the big lies, Cancer, Vicky. That season was a brilliant season because if it wasn't for Megan King Edmonds, we would not know what was going on. I will say this to the day I die. That girl, it was her first season. She came in guns blazing. And I wish she would come back because she was so fearless to be 30 years old. She was like, listen, something's not right. This don't make no sense.
It's not
somebody that's dying from cancer. They don't do CT scans here. This ain't right. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if he's really lying about it? And then when Tamara talked to Brianna, and Brianna was like, yeah, he said he had pancreatic cancer and he really didn't. And I was like, oh my gosh, how do you lie to an emergency nurse about cancer like she don't know?
I don't understand it. I don't understand police liars.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about
especially such a big lie.
I really don't understand how people can do it. Are they missing a moral chip? Like, do they not have I feel bad about lying about little things, let alone huge things. And
like
some
cancer.
people, it just doesn't phase them. It just doesn't phase them.
You know what I think about Vicky though with the whole cancer thing? I just think that Vicky didn't even really care anymore because her mom died. So I think she was going through that grieving period. Like, I don't give a damn anymore about anything.
My mom not here. Yeah.
And then when at the reunion, she just said we just wanted sympathy. I was like, what?
That's the wildest excuse I've ever heard.
Wild.
That's a wild excuse.
Well, I mean, I will say with accountability, it's interesting watching all of the housewives and seeing them try to not have any, seeing them to try
or not care about it,
or not
don't care about it,
right? Because there are some who are like, "Well, I'm right," even if they're wrong, they believe they're right. at that point, it's like, what do you do? Like, if they think they're right, like, who is really right? And it's a hard one for me because I am the queen of like, there isn't right or wrong. It's just sides.
It's a
And, like,
gray.
just because you see it one way, they see it not. Like, I try to be very like kumbaya-ish about it. But
I don't want the housewives.
on how, yeah, well, but then I'll get on Housewives and I'm like, bitch, you're wrong.
Yeah.
But in real life, though, I do think that I think that there are very few things that are strict right or wrong. There's definitely some things, but for the most part, I think it's opinion based.
No, that makes sense.
And it's just on whether you think it's right or you think it's wrong.
Yeah.
So as much as it's frustrating when someone we disagree with thinks they're right and we think they're wrong, we just have to recognize from their viewpoint they're right and we're wrong, and it is what it is.
Let it ride, yeah.
But that's why I like these shows, because I can have these arguments, get it out of my system talking about TV shows,
and then watch
in real life, I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, everyone's like, you're so zen. I'm like, yeah, it's because I scream at my TV when I get home for hours.
For an hour.
In real life.
And I don't scream at my TV. I scream on Instagram.
Yes, that too.
Or Twitter.
Get in the comment section.
With Twitter. I'm always in the comment. Always.
I had to ban myself from Twitter for a while because I got bad with my Twitter arguments.
Twitter's a wild place. It's a wild west.
Yeah,
it is a wild
west.
Twitter's a lot. Twitter's a lot.
And my mouth is reckless on there, so
yeah.
You don't have to have a filter. Elon owns it now. You just say what you want. Just say what you want. There's no more Twitter jail. You nothing to do. Say what you want.
Right.
Exactly. I got a hard stop later. I gotta take my kid to work.
I was just about to say it was great having you all on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this conversation and for those that watched. And we'll be back next time with
It was wonderful to meet you guys. Please invite me back. I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Have a good day. Be safe, everybody.
Baby, you just kick your feet up while I kick back. I roll one with you by my side.